Hey everybody! So, game day. And I figure it probably might be time for me to preview the game that we're playing today, right? I got a lot to say about it, and I just haven't got around to freaking talking about this game tonight. So it's at 8 o'clock. I got the Clemson, Georgia game on behind me. And so, therefore, I've got my shirt here. To hell with Georgia. And today, to hell with Georgia State too. I've made it clear how I feel about Georgia State and what everything that I feel about them. I think that we need to be the only team in the state of Atlanta, or the city of Atlanta, and we don't need to be. We don't have any business losing to them. It'd be humiliating. We run the city, and that's how it needs to be, right? So. I have made it clear also that I was scared to death of this game because there is the stat, right? They're a group of 5 team, and we looked good last week, but Tech in the is like 0-3 or 4 in the last few games that they played against power group of 5 teams. So it's been a monkey on our back. It's embarrassing every time. It would be tenfold embarrassing this time if we were to lose to Georgia State, simply because they are a newer program. They started their program in like 2008, and they, are just brand new, and they are also in the city of Atlanta. And I don't want to lose to them. It would be a really, really bad look. We recruit a lot of the same players. Obviously, you look at how things are perceived, outside of our programs, like, it's like a point and laugh if we freaking lose. Like, haha, you lose to a group of 5 team in your own city. You're not even the best team in your own city. Would be embarrassing. So it would be the most humiliating loss to ever happen. So I'd rather lose to an FCS team than Georgia State. And I've made that clear. And Tech has had their struggles in the past against group of 5 teams. And I got to say, I've stewed on this all week and really all off season, and I kind of came to my conclusion on this game. We have struggled against Georgia State, or against group of 5 teams, but the thing is, I don't think we're going to today. Obviously, big win last week against Florida State, and obviously, last year, we had tons of issues after a big win like that, coming back and having trouble performing, right? Brent Key has made it exceedingly clear. He has insisted in his press conferences. He's had 2 press conferences this week about Georgia State, and has insisted that it's a 1-game season. He said it's our Super Bowl. He said that we are focused more on this game than anything else. We have completely put last week out of our mind. That, can be just lip service. It can be coach speak. It can be whatever you want to call it, especially considering what the performance we put on last year. So that was a big reason I'm worried. However, everything that I have heard is pointing me to believe that this is going to be the truth. So word on the street is he had them boys after the Florida State game watching game film against Georgia State, preparing for this game before they even left Ireland. For reference, too, Florida State had a day of fun planned after the game. That's how confident they were, and it's like. And all the guys, have said the same thing. Like, we're moved on to this game, and that's pretty wild to me. The guys showed up. I've seen us play really well under Brent Key, but we were like a machine last week. We were so prepared for that game, which is not something that I could say in the past. Of course, you had the freaking trash talk that the Georgia player told us a few years ago. You're so unprepared. We were prepared for that game. And I was blown away by it because it's just not something I'm used to, and I have no reason to believe, okay, now with everything I've seen, that it's going to happen against Georgia State, right? We this might get me. This might be a little okay, a little over the top to compare this to, but you have to understand, if you're in Ireland and you're watching game film before you're freaking you're leaving, okay, you're watching game film for the next week, and you come out and you look like a machine like that, does that not remind you of anybody? Alabama, okay? It reminds you of Alabama. And you say, oh, well, you think you're Alabama now. Well, no. But Brent Key, okay, is a freaking Saban coach tree. He's in the Saban coaching tree, right? He's seen how that operates. He won a national championship with him as the offensive line coach. He knows how that program was run, and that's how he's running Georgia Tech right now. These guys are locked in. They're locked in on winning these games each and every week, and they're going to. They're going to. We have the talent. If we lose this game tonight, it won't be because Georgia State's, better, more talented. No. We've seen that we can hang with freaking Florida State. We have the physical ability to win this game. The only reason we would win this game is because we're not here mentally. Same with Bowling Green last year. I've seen this team be physical, tough, and execute really well. They didn't do that against Bowling Green. They weren't there mentally. The only reason we would lose to Georgia State tonight is if we weren't there mentally. But we're going to be. We're going to be there mentally, and we're going to be there physically. We have a dominating lines of scrimmage. At least I'd have to, see a little bit more of the defensive line to be fully convinced of that. Okay? But we have a dominant offensive line. And another thing I wanted to talk about is I go back to the first 4 games of the year last season. Haynes King, was throwing it around. We were. It was a huge mix of running it and throwing it, and it was working. It all came crashing down when? At the Bowling Green game. So we go into the Bowling Green game. Haynes King throws all these freaking interceptions, right? It seemed like for the next couple games, we were not great offensively, and we were trying to find our identity. And in the last few games of the season, we found it, and we became very much more run-heavy. And our O-line, was run blocking a lot more. And a lot of the completions, we stopped taking so many, we stopped trying so many deep completions with Haynes King because for whatever reason, he fell off in the middle of the season and was, and started throwing interceptions. So towards the end of the year, we found our identity with that team, okay, and we were playing a lot better, right? Finished the year with a winning record. I fully believe that if, I think that the Bowling Green game was a turning point last year. I fully believe if we played them later in that season when we had found our identity, that is what, we would have beat them the second time. Now, of course, that game's in the past, but you look at that, and I was wondering coming into the season, okay, what's going to be our identity this year? Well, I was wondering, are we going to look like the first 4 games of the season last year, where we're throwing it around, freaking all kind of things? We looked like an Ohio State or something. The way we were slinging it around, we were running it too, but definitely not as much as we did towards the end of the year. I was wondering what would we look like, okay? But from what I've seen, we've carried that identity over from the end of the year last year into this year. We look very similar, and we just executed it better. And that is a good sign to me. I thought that, maybe we would come out and try to sling the ball a little bit more. But we played pretty conservatively. There wasn't a ton of, huge passes. The running game opens those up a little bit more, but it's run first. Like Brent Key says, are you kidding me? Run the ball, right? So that is kind of what our identity became. That's what it's going to be this year too. And that is going to prevent, us throwing all those interceptions, keeping these crappier teams in the game. And I feel like it's a lot safer of an idea, of an identity to have, right? It leaves less room for turnovers. So I'm feeling pretty confident, I hope I've explained it correctly, about this team's identity, their mental state, and their execution. I feel like I'm feeling good about it and going into this game, right? And, of course, the guys are going to want to win. They know, they know these guys over here at Georgia State, probably played with them all. And this is a big game for the city of Atlanta. And I trust my Yellow Jackets to do it fully. I've gained peace. I said like Sunday I was shaking in my boots over this game. I'm confident now. I've pondered on it. I've meditated, and I've reached my inner peace with this game, and I just trust my Jackets to come out and get this win. And not only that, we can kick their ass. We're going to control the freaking lines of scrimmage and just run all over them, and there won't be anything they can do about it. You had these freaking jokers on Twitter, these Georgia State guys. One guy in particular writes for 247, Ben Moore, what a joker, says, oh, we have this coach and that player and this guy and that guy from Georgia Tech. We got film on you. We know you. We know Georgia Tech inside and out. And I responded to him. I said, how much is knowing Georgia Tech going to do when you're getting blown 10 yards off the ball every play? And that's what's coming to you, Georgia State. That's what's happening to you, okay? We're going to run it down your throat. Nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Because Georgia Tech has been, is, and always will be the college football team in the city of Atlanta. Go Jackets. And I'll see y'all tonight at 8 p.m. I'll be streaming the game right here on the Sea Dog channel.